Navigating the modern world feels like stumbling through a foggy landscape, beautiful in its complexity but occasionally bewildering. I'm a millennial, part of a generation defined by its simultaneous hopes and confusions, its constant push and pull between progress and regression. We were told the future was going to be bright and full of possibility. And yet, despite all the progress that we've made, it often feels like we're still walking through that fog, hoping to catch a glimpse of what lies ahead. The truth is, none of us really know where we're going. We're all a bit lost here, aren't we? Lo, what spectres of time now rise, where progress's gilded promise lies? We, scions of an age untamed, by past unmoored, yet nay reclaimed. Did not the sages, Locke and calm, proclaim that reason's light and chance? Yet reason, wretched, lost her hand, adrift amidst this shifting sand. O fickle fate, thy wires unseen, dost tug our hearts twixt dream and scream. For knowledge, vast as oceans wide, have left us wrecked upon the tide. The gods of old, now algorithms, breathe forth their hollow cataclysms. Yet Camus whispers, laughing bright, revolt and shape thine own birthright. Thus, we who wander, rootless free, find in our loss a sovereignty. No fate hath writ our paths in stone, but hands unchanged must carve alone. Millennial truth number 1. The journey of life is not about having all the answers, but learning to navigate the uncertainty with curiosity and resilience. I grew up in the UK, where my early life was shaped by the pastoral beauty of Somerset and the bustling rhythms of cities like Southampton and Falmouth. The air was thick with history and tradition. I remember my childhood as a constant tug between the world of fields, rivers and country lanes and the hum of city life, where everything seemed to be in motion, moving faster than I could keep up with. But, as with many in my generation, I soon found myself caught in the throes of change. The UK was a land of deep-rooted traditions, but those traditions were constantly shifting, sometimes unrecognisably. The internet arrived in my younger teenage years in a mass sense. It was obviously around before that, giving me access to a whole world I never could have imagined as a child. With it came a sense of boundless possibility, but also an overwhelming sense of confusion. The world was expanding in ways I never thought possible. Information came at us in a never-ending stream. We could talk to anyone, anywhere on the planet, learn anything that we desired. And yet it all felt like too much. Every day, new opinions, new trends, new ideas appeared, and each one demanded attention. It was like standing on the edge of a cliff, partly afraid, partly exhilarated, but unsure which direction to go next. Millennial truth number 2. While technology opens doors to vast new possibilities, it also brings complexity and demands our discernment in choosing what to embrace. And then, in search of something new, I left the UK for Canada. For a time, I wasn't sure why. Maybe it was the desire to be somewhere different, to experience life in a new place. But in the end, it was more than that. It was the push of the unknown, the uncertainty that seemed to course through my generation's veins, that pulled me to Toronto. The idea of starting over, even when you don't fully understand what you're running toward, was both terrifying and exciting. What was I supposed to do here? Who was I now? Those are the questions I seem to arise every day, sometimes in fleeting thoughts, other times in deep existential contemplation. Millennial truth number 3. Change, even when unplanned or unclear, has the potential to push us towards self-discovery and growth. Moving to Canada was an attempt to escape the confines of my past, but I quickly realized that running away doesn't solve everything. The landscape was different, the culture shifted, and yet I felt the same sense of displacement I had felt in the UK. It's as if geography of the world has changed, but the human experience hasn't really caught up. I was still trying to define myself in a world that refused to so easily define you. But the strange thing was, I didn't feel lost in a bad way. I wasn't in despair. It was more of an invitation to explore, to find new perspectives, and to rediscover old ones in familiar places. Millennial truth number 4. Displacement, while uncomfortable, often leads to new perspectives that can help us redefine our identity. In many ways, moving to Toronto felt like starting over, but starting over isn't always a clean slate. It's more like picking up pieces from the past and trying to figure out how they fit into the puzzle of the present. I brought my history with me, my dreams, my baggage, all packed into the same suitcase. It wasn't a fresh start, it was a continuation of a story that refused to be neatly packaged. Who I was in Canada was both the same person and someone entirely new, shaped by different experiences, different contexts. Millennial truth number 5. Starting over doesn't mean erasing the past. It's about integrating all the parts of yourself into a new chapter of growth. My journey was also shaped by my music career, which has been a constant in my life, but that too has been an evolution, a series of reinventions. Music had been a sanctuary for me, something I poured my soul into when life seemed too complex or perhaps too overwhelming. It had a way of clarifying things, of making sense of the noise, but as life grew more chaotic, I stepped away from music for many years, unsure of how to place it within the framework of who I was becoming. It was a complicated relationship, one that mirrored the confusion of navigating the modern world. I didn't know where to fit, what it meant, or if I still had any place in my life. Millennial truth number 6. Personal growth often involves stepping away from things that once defined us, only to return to them with a new meaning and understanding. Yet, as the world around me, my relationship to music didn't stop. It simply transformed. There was a certain absurdity in returning to it after so much time away. How could I find myself again through something I had abandoned? The feelings of doubt were replaced by a strange sense of renewal. It was like rediscovering an old love, a familiar friend who had changed but still held the spark that initially drew me to it. The old uncertainties remained, but they were now intertwined with new possibilities. The music was still there, still waiting for me. And I realized that returning to it wasn't about going back, it was about moving forward. It was absurd, yes, but that absurdity was also freeing. Millennial truth number 7. Embracing the absurdity of life can lead to unexpected personal renewal and growth. Absurdity, of course, is something that defines our times. In a world of constant change, where we can constantly connect with anyone on the planet, but somehow feel lonelier than ever, how do we make sense of anything? Technology promised answers, but instead it presented more questions. The rules of life were rewritten by algorithms and digital platforms that often seemed to know us better than we knew ourselves. Every swipe, every click, every notification reshaped the way we saw the world, and in many cases how we saw ourselves. Despite all this, the world has felt more uncertain than ever. The more we tried to adapt, the more it lost. We seemed more lost than ever. If the 20th century was about finding meaning, the 21st century seems to be about learning how to live with the uncertainty of all of it. Millennial truth number 8. Living with uncertainty is not a sign of failure, but a mark of resilience in adapting to the constant changes around us. And yet there's something oddly liberating about that uncertainty. The absurdity of our time is not just a source of confusion, but a source of freedom. We are no longer bound by rigid expectations of what our lives should look like. The script has been torn up and we're left writing our own stories. We are the ones who get to define what success means, what happiness means, and what purpose means. That is both the challenge and the gift of being a millennial. We are crafting our own meanings, trying to make sense of the noise, and yet finding beauty in the process itself. Millennial truth number 9. These are the last 2 ones. Embrace the freedom that comes with living in a world of uncertainty. It is an opportunity to redefine what success and happiness mean to you. Some philosophers have tried to make sense of this. Camus, for example, wrote about the absurdity of life in a world without inherent meaning. He argued that while life may seem devoid of purpose, it is this very lack of meaning that offers us the freedom to create our own. And isn't that what we're doing in this age of constant flux? We're all crafting our own meanings, trying to make sense of the noise, yet finding beauty in the process itself. In the face of a world that seems determined to offer no answers, we are inventing our own. The last one, millennial truth number 10. Now this is a bit longer, but this is a good one. The lack of inherent meaning in life allows us to be the architects of our own narratives, creating meaning in ways that are uniquely ours. But the absurdity isn't just philosophical. It's deeply personal. My generation has grown up in an era where expectations are high, but the future remains uncertain. With the rise of the gig economy, the collapse of traditional career paths, and the constant bombardment of information coming from every direction, it often feels like we're just treading water, hoping to find something solid beneath the surface. The world around us is changing faster than we can adapt. The days of having a clear path, get a degree, find a job, climb the ladder, have long passed. But there's something oddly comforting about that. Something that makes me feel less like I'm falling and more like I'm part of a collective experience of not knowing. I'm not the only one. Millennials everywhere are navigating the same tides, trying to make sense of a world that is, in many ways, unraveling. But there's strength in that unraveling. It's a time of profound confusion, yes, but also one of boundless possibility. We're all lost together. But there's power in that collective disorientation. We may not have all the answers, but we are fighting it out in real time. And in doing so, we are redefining what it means to live in the modern world. And that in itself is an achievement. A summary of the millennial truths. The journey of life isn't about having all the answers, but navigating uncertainty with resilience and curiosity. Number 2, technology brings new possibilities, but also demands that we choose carefully what to embrace. Number 3, change often pushes us towards self-discovery, even when the path isn't clear. Number 4, displacement can offer new perspectives and help us redefine our identities. Number 5, starting out doesn't mean erasing the past, but integrating it into a new chapter of growth. Number 6, this is one of my favourites. Personal growth involves stepping away from what once defined us, returning to it with renewed purpose. Number 7, embrace life's absurdities. It can bring unexpected renewal. Next, resilience is key to adapting to the constant changes of the modern world. Number 9, living with uncertainty offers the freedom to create our own definitions of success and happiness. And lastly, Number 10, the lack of inherent meaning gives us power to define our own narratives. This has been part of my Millennial Truths podcast series. You can find more on my YouTube channel, and if you want to, like, subscribe, and